the_Dr_Alex just subscribed for 33 months.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another tomato sauce stream. Today we're going to be doing a lot of yapping, a lot of yapping. We have so much to discuss. We have the World Championship qualifiers just around the corner, which I'm sure a lot of you are really excited for, and a lot of you don't really care, if we're being completely honest. It's one of those kind of Marmite situations where some people really care about it. It's really cool to see which decks are doing really well. Some people really want to compete. Some people are going for those top spots in each of the regions, try and get an invite to Worlds. And some people are like, the gems are nice. I don't really care about competition. I'm just here to have fun. Both of which are completely fine mindsets to have. For me personally, I think it's always really, really exciting to see which decks are going to perform really well and to see which decks do end up making the biggest splash in both the World Championship qualifiers as well as the World Championship itself, especially because the World Championship format is always really interesting, right? Where you have 5 different decks, you can't really have a lot of overlap, and you've got to use different characters for each one. It's very weird, but it kind of makes sense for what Duel Links is. But on top of that, OCG did just get a new pseudo mechanic, I suppose, in Union monsters and having the ability to do a quote-unquote Union fusion, which is not the same as a contact fusion, but is close. It is not one-to-one, but it is very, very similar. So we're going to be taking a look at all the new Union cards and talk about the new Union mechanic. But overall, this stream is going to be very yappy, talking about the Duel Links meta, and we're going to be talking about a couple of other things on the peripheral as we go. But before we get into all of that, let's see what we have in the chat. We have Lava X Golem. Hello, hello, Lava Golem. Oi, Tomato, how are you? Man, Konami is focusing a lot on monster equips. Yes, I mean, obviously, we'll carry this on because she did respond a little bit further down. Union and Rush in Duel Links Therian Centurion. I'm surprised Konami decided to focus a lot on that kind of mechanic lately. I don't think it is... I think, for the most part, it's a coincidence. I think, realistically, Therian and Centurion just came out at a similar time. I don't think that's, like, correlation between that. And obviously Union is only in OCG, isn't, at the very least, it doesn't look like it's coming to Duel Links anytime soon. Like, that could actually be a really interesting place they could take us, which is when like October rolls around, or like maybe March next year, they could just randomly drop Union on us before Ritual, which I think would really be interesting. But I don't know, we'll have to wait and see how they decide to do that. We do have Alex with the subscription. Subscribe for 33 months. Alex the Madman with 33 months of subscription. Thank you, Alex. Always do appreciate it, my friend. We have Mr. Bad Time in the chat. Hello, Tomato. Do you reckon we'll get Savage Claw Tiger anytime soon? There is literally no reason for us to not have Savage Claw Tiger already. I actually really like Savage Claw. Like, it's not a strong card. Let's be honest, guys. It's a bit weak. But for when it came out, it was a very fair card, and it was like okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the card was amazing, but Savage Claw Tiger was fine. The issue is we're so far through Rush's lifespan that releasing a card as weak as Savage Claw Tiger now just feels like a waste. There's no one's going to use it. No one's going to play it in any deck. It is just not going to see any play whatsoever. It's a card that I personally have always been quite fond of. We have Corey in the chat as well. Hello, hello, Corey. Hey, hey, welcome, welcome. Hello, Darth Victor as well. Welcome, welcome on in. Sounds like today will be the biggest yapping stream in months. Yeah, well, we have been focusing a lot on the point battles, and this is something I have been doing a lot of, which is I've been playing a decent amount with like my Rush Duel team. We've also been playing a bunch of these point battles. We've just been playing in the PGRF, which is the pre-Goha Rush Festival, which is like a simulated 4 to 8 hour Goha Rush Festival simulation, which is quite fun. You get to play against a lot of people and to get like a lot of information from that, which is really, really important, but nothing that we didn't kind of already know. So it was just kind of affirming our already pre-thought up like vision of the meta, I suppose. So, but it's always nice to see. It's always nice to see. I'm only in and out because I've got stuff happening today. I won't be home until hours after you've ended stream. I say that as Tomato shows up. Hello, hello, Victor. Hello, Voltalon as well. They've already posted the note article for PGRF. Yes, I have already got that up. If I go over to here, we have this. So this is a TXD11 who, I'm trying to remember what their name was. Tomo? I think their name was Tomo. Posted this, which is basically, you know, the advertisement sort of like, this is the breakdown, and then if you want to go get the note, you can go and pay for the note. Obviously, this is the public part of it, which is this is the breakdown for the PGRF that we just had. All of this stuff is, you know, if we click into this, this should take us to the note article, which, you know, if you wanted to go and pay for it, you could get the information from this. This is all of the stuff that is, you know, that I'm allowed to share, because we're not supposed to share anything that is not in here, right? But there is some information in here which is interesting to see. As you can see from here, Dark Galaxy 40% is kind of crazy. It's not too surprising. I think most people kind of already knew Dark Galaxy was going to be the deck to beat and the deck that most people are going to be playing. I did see a couple of people saying they didn't think this was going to be the case, but come on, guys, it's just Dark Galaxy. Like, it's popping off. It's still really strong. So after that, we had Gradius, then Hero, then 4D, then we had Tearfing, then Royal Rebels, and then kind of other. So interesting stuff nonetheless. But hello, Voltalon. I love tomatoes. Twitch isn't anymore the top thing when I write tomato. Okay, is that a good thing? Are we probably going to get Union Rush mechanic leaked before we get it? I mean, potentially. They absolutely... The thing is, we've had a bunch of stuff leaked in the past that hasn't really gone anywhere, so you never really know. Instead, it's the tomato cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! I see, I see. Hello, Whistling Bird. Welcome, welcome on in. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. It is... So we're kind of in summer now, right? It's kind of just summer, which means it's warm. I don't like it being warm, but where we got that heat wave, which was kind of, oh, it's hot all of a sudden. Like we went from like 17 to like 28 in the span of a couple of days. That was a bit of a shock to the system. Now that it's kind of slowly coming on, it feels a lot better rather than just going from 0 to 100. So other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. I have been very, very busy as of late, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, busy can mean good. User improved people, it can be used. I only asked because I've been playing Dawn of the Battle Royale, and even if they also gave us Beast Gear, World wouldn't make it too strong, and it's really fun. So, we'll quickly touch on this. So, Beast Gear World is not great, but there is a second wave that Beast Gears did get, and that is for this. Apocalypse Beast Overworld. So this is the new field spell they get. And this is, while this card is face up in the field zone, face up Earth and Dark attribute Beast Warrior type monsters with 1600 or more attack on the field, gain 400 attack and defense, and cannot be destroyed by card effects. Now, on their own, this deck wouldn't really do anything, if we're being completely honest. But, with a skill, this deck could actually be really, really good. Now, the one interesting thing about this this field spell is it says destroyed by card effects, not destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which means when this card eventually comes out, when this deck eventually comes out, if it gets a skill, and if we ever get the like more board wrathy sort of effects, such as Dark Hole and Torrential Tribute, suddenly those cards gain a lot of additional value because you can wipe the board of every card, but your cards get to stay, which is really, really powerful effect, right? So there is that. Let's try and catch up with chat a little bit here. I've always been doing terrible on the ladder. I mean, that's fine, right? Like, it depends whether you're trying to be, like, a super competitive player or if you're just, like, playing for fun, right? Both are fine, in my opinion. Bar, I'm Michan. Good for you, Victor. We have Pokemaster Ian in the chat as well. So Dark Magician is not a good deck. No. I mean, I think everyone kind of knew Dark Magician was a very mid deck. Dark Magician is too sacky, unfortunately. It's just a little bit too luck reliant. If you get really, really lucky, it's incredible. It can pop off, it can blow people up, it can just beat any deck in the game. If you don't get really lucky, it's very mediocre and kind of just falls over. So funny that these Exo Tomato cards that were Googled once, and I gotta go, I need to eat lunch. Well, thanks for stopping by, Victor. But let's go through some of this stuff, right? Because we have got a lot to go through today. I guess the first thing we'll do is talk about the June upcoming updates. Obviously, this is all going to be primarily speed focused, but we are getting some new cards. We're getting Tyrant Farm. Tribute an effect monster, special summon a non-effect monster with the same original type and attribute from your deck. You can only activate one Tyrant Farm. I don't know if this is going to do much of anything, but that is here, I suppose. Mid-deck, that's too generous. I'm actually going to not stick around because I want to get Cog before tomorrow. I mean, that's fine, Mr. Bad Time. I mean, you can lurk, or you can just, like, leave. Obviously, you know, you're a free man. You can do whatever you want. But thanks for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to see you. Next up, we have Amphibious Bugroth Mark 11. So, our Umi is not on the field. This card gains 700 attack. Also, it cannot attack directly. While Umi is on the field, you can target one face-up non-water monster on the field and destroy it. You can only do the effect of Amphibious Bugroth Mark 11 once per turn. Bit of a weird card. And then we have Time Reloader. During the main phase, if a monster on the field is flipped face up, you can special summon this card from your hand, then change one face-up monster on the field to face-down defense position. During the main phase, if this card is flipped face up, you can target one monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, then change one face-up monster on the field to face-down defense position. So again, a bit of a weird card. I don't really see any of these cards seeing play, but who even knows. So then we have basically just the WCS stuff. So we know that the first stage for us for Rush starts tomorrow. So everyone kind of gets the vibe of how the WCQ works. The first stage is kind of free. Making it to the qualifiers is very, very easy. And then the qualifiers is where all of the challenges, that's when we're going to be on the endless ladder. And it's going to be a bit of a rough time. Now, perhaps the weirdest thing here, it's not really weird, I think I did this last year as well, but having both the speed and rush start at the same time, I don't know, it kind of kills the hype a little bit. I think it'd be really fun to go from the rush into the speed. Now, I kind of get why they're not doing that, because the speed takes twice as long. Because the rush one, guys, let's be honest, the rush one is very, very free. I'm not going to say the speed first stage is particularly difficult. If you're an actual speed player, you know what you're doing, you're playing a competent deck, you'll make it to the second stage very, very easily. But rush is unbelievably free, let's be honest. So then we got the tour guide mission bingo. We got the new Pulse of Darkness Alistair, which is neat, I suppose. Duelist Road into the Veins. We get Dual Capsule coming back as well. So we've just got some events coming out, that's neat. It's always a good time, I suppose. Speed first stage can be annoying depending on the meta. Absolutely, absolutely. But generally, I find that the speed, getting to the end of the stage 2, or getting to the end of stage 1 for speed, is more about how many annoying ass decks have made it there. Because a lot of the time, you'll get like a lot of the floodgatey decks, a lot of the very cheesy decks, FTKs and stuff. They just kind of get up to like 19, and then they just sit there. And they're unable to consistently get wins, so they really struggle to actually get to the second stage. So they just kind of act as gatekeepers, and they'll just randomly sack you, and it feels really, really bad. But again, it depends on the meta, like you say. So the next thing we'll talk about, I guess, is our war. We did have a war yesterday. This was part of the Duel Links Dynasty Rush Duels. So my team is the Robo Fangirls. Our opponents yesterday were UTS. It was a very, very close game. As you can see, there are a lot of wins and losses on both sides. But this is a good indication of how the meta is. So if we take a look at the UTS decks that they brought. So they brought... How many Dark Galaxy did they bring? They brought one. One Dark Galaxy, right? Then how many of these games were played by Gradius, right? So Gradius was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Gradius. Which is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. Which is... it just goes to show how much UTS thinks about Gradius, right? Obviously, Murata did fantastically well. So massive congratulations to Murata. I assume Murata was doing a lot of the actual piloting himself. He wasn't like getting coached through a lot of plays. But I'm very, very happy with how Murata performed. I think that's really, really cool. I will say, I think the biggest like letdown of this was Voltalon. And it wasn't because Voltalon played badly. It was because Voltalon picked effectively a counter pick into Gradius and then looked at his hand and went, this is unplayable. And his opponent just opened basically the perfect hand. And then that happened twice in a row, which feels awful. So I feel really bad for Voltalon because I don't think Voltalon deserved to go 0-2, which unfortunately that's just the way Rush Duel is sometimes. It sucks, but it is what it is. Let's try and catch up with the chat. I don't fully remember because I don't think it's come up so far. Is there an advantage to being at COG? I think you start a couple ranks higher is literally it. I think if you were COG before it started, you get to, like, jump through a few more levels. But I think that's about it. Where most hyped Rush character London at? One of these days. One of these days, London will be coming out. It'll probably be after the speed stuff. But then again, we might have another speed character before then. Poor UTS, Royal Rebel Sweep. I blame Sora Mia for oversleeping. It's one of those things where I don't know who wouldn't be playing if Sora Mia showed up. Like, who gets subbed out here for Sora Mia? Like, I genuinely don't know who was going to come in here. Because to be honest, right, if I'm talking about the people we expected to play against, I was expecting Sora Mia, Hikari, Pro player, then probably Fear, because I think Fear plays in pretty much all of their wars. And then it becomes a bit of a toss-up, right? It could have been Whistling Bird, it could have been Murata, it could have been... I mean, I guess that's kind of it. I wasn't expecting Zenzo, Bisma, or Ari, just because they haven't been playing a lot of Rush lately. Obviously, Ari's been, like, jumping in and playing a bit more Rush, but they haven't been playing in the wars a lot. So, but it was still a really fun go. We had a really great time with it. We had a lot of fun playing, so we at least had that. I believe you get to stage 2 automatically, but you don't get the rewards from stage 1. I think you just jump a few levels ahead, but I can't remember, to be honest. Posted in Discord all the Rush character IDs for Rush that we know are in the game. If you want to look over those. All right, we are in an ad break, so we'll let the ad break tick away. So we'll just let those slowly fade away. Because I'm sure some people at least have had some ads, and no one likes getting hit with the ads. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back from the ads, everyone that got hit with the ads. Post in Discord all the Rush character IDs for Rush that we know of are in the game. We've already gone over all of that. We spoke about that in our last stream, and we were talking about all the different cards that it could possibly mean. So we've already gone over that. We don't need to go over that again. Murata was doing most of the piloting himself. International wordplay of piloting ingredients. Exactly. Thoughts on best team Kings of the Sun? Alright. If you want my honest opinion, I sort of wrote King of the Suns off. Not because I think their team is bad, but because I didn't know a lot of players on that team. Like, in the past, I think that team had a very different lineup to the lineup it has now. And now I look at their lineup and I go, oh, actually, I know almost all of these players. And I respect almost all of these players because I know them, I've seen them playing before, seen them play in previous leagues, seen them play in tournaments. So, if you'd have asked me, blind at the beginning of the season, what do I think of Kings of the Sun, without knowing, like, their full roster, I would have been like, I'm not particularly worried about it. If you ask me now, I'm like, actually, I think Kings of the Sun is a decently strong team. But it's just one of those situations where teams evolve, right? People get moved around, people join different teams, and then it suddenly, like, completely shifts your perspective on it. Because the way I think about it, when they lost Hikari, it felt like they lost their best player. And then it's like, okay, well, so that team that didn't perform super great in the past has gotten weaker. So my mind is of the point of, okay, it's not going to be super threatening. But then, suddenly, that team's got... I mean, who's on that team now? I think Hit's on that team. A Human's on that team. United is on that team? I'm trying to remember who's even on the team. Let me get the list up. Because I remember looking at it the other day and being like, actually, this team looks kind of scary. Let's get the rosters up. Let's have a look. Kings of the Sun. So it's Hom Mask. I think Hom is a really good player. I've always thought Hom was, like, decently good. We've got Xeno. Xeno is a bit of a wild card. Xeno doesn't, like, play a lot. At least I don't see him, like, participate in tournaments very often. So it's hard to get much of a feeler on him. Then Erdl is, like... Everyone loves Erdl because Erdl just plays like Cyber Dragon whenever he plays the tournaments. I think recently he started to branch out a bit, but he was always the Cyber Dragon guy for so long. Victorino barely plays anything. Marutan barely plays anything. MFMJ is lovely. Everyone loves MFMJ. But again, I don't see him play very often. I think recently he did get second place in a tournament, which was really, really good. So massive, like, congratulations to him. Charif, I barely see do anything. United for Eternity, obviously fantastic guy, really strong player, and a great member of the community. Hit, again, absolutely fantastic. We love Hit. Exodion, I don't think I've ever spoken to him. I've never seen him enter a tournament. I have nothing to say on him. A Human is, I mean, a Human's probably their worst player. Overall, he's kind of a one-trick pony. He just plays this one silly Royal Rebel deck, but, you know, he's a nice guy, so we'll give him a little pat on the back for that. And then that's the team. That is the team. So, yeah. Alright, let's catch up with the chat. We have Raf in the chat, hello. And Corey subscribed with the Prime. Thank you, Corey. As always, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I love how it's like 9 months after the newest side Arc World.
666 just subscribed with Prime. Can really see them giving us unions and DL before rituals. Would be a decent surprise.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. It's definitely a possibility. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed. I'd have to see how powerful the cards look in a vacuum, but like, there's always a chance. There's always absolutely a chance. 9 months after the newest side, Arc World, Dart's heavily featured in pre-promo stuff. We still don't have him for speed. Well, I think the whole point was just to drum up excitement and just be like, look, these are 2 different filler arcs that are going to be getting characters, right? So I kind of get it. Yeah, you start at dual level 10 on speed, but I believe that if you get Cog when stage 2 touch, you get to play it without finishing stage 1, but I don't remember if it was exactly how it works. I think it happened to me only once. I mean, if that's how it works, that's how it works, right? So did Hikari downgrade from King of the Sun to UTS? I mean, UTS has already proven themselves, right? I don't think they've won anything, but they've made it to the finals twice, right? So that in itself is pretty cool. Also, UTS does have 2 Worlds players on it. The caveat to that is both the Worlds players they have are like not core Rush players, right? Like Zenzo, it feels like basically did a bunch of like pre-World Championship qualifier cramming to just learn Rush really, really quickly, and then just absolutely bust through the World Championship qualifier, make it to Worlds. And then Quantum, it felt like kind of did the same. Like, not saying neither of them play Rush, but they're not, like, all-in Rush players. Whereas the players that, like, Royal Roman Fangirls has, for example, we've got Parko, Volt, and Giorfio, who are all-in Rush players. I guess you could make the argument that Giorfio, like, is also a really big speed player, but my man still goes hard on Rush, like, all year round, right? Too much goes into making a good team. Skill, accessibility, exposure, composure, and a sprinkle of RNG. Yes, absolutely. Also, it absolutely depends on the meta. Whoever can get a grasp on the meta the quickest generally has an advantage, but also the sackier the meta is, the less everything else matters. And for me personally, I actually think this meta is kind of sacky. So, like, it's nice that we got this win over UTS, but a lot of it felt undeserved, right? Like, I don't think all of our wins felt like great wins. And I think that is also true about UTS. I don't think all of their wins felt like great wins. It just kind of felt like who drew better in each individual game just kind of won, which is sort of how card games are, right? That's part of the game. There is an RNG element. I just think the RNG element in this format specifically is a lot higher than it has been in other formats. At least that's my take on it, right? You're free to agree or disagree with that. But hello, Promanicus. Welcome, welcome. I can really... We've already read that. A human works with PTRG to send opponents into the shadows. That's what we like to see. If I stopped mucking around with cuties, I'd probably be on a team. I mean, yeah. I think Manicist, skill-wise, you are probably absolutely good enough to just be on a team. I think what it is going to come down to is, do you, like, vibe with anyone, and do they vibe with you? I think that, fundamentally, is going to be the key defining factor. People are going to want a player on their team that they like, that they get on with, that they think isn't going to cause trouble, right? So as long as you tick those boxes with the team you're trying to join, then absolutely, you should have no problem joining a team, right? Like, that's how I look at it, anyway. Bro exposing my dark secrets. Can't just stop playing them. They feel so different. It's nice. I guess, like, for me, my favorite deck right now, like, my favorite deck to play is 4D. I think DDDD is really, really fun. But I think as we've been going through, some people think it's a lot better, and some people think it's a lot worse. I'm now leaning towards it feels a bit weak. But we'll get into that when we actually talk about the actual, like, metagame as a whole, right? And maybe that in availability, nani. Shocked you aren't on one. Honestly, what teams passed? What do we mean by passed? Do we mean what teams didn't want Manicist, or what teams have, like, qualified to go into the next round of playoffs? Probably not. But yeah, overall, I had a lot of fun playing in this. Obviously, we had a lot more Dark Galaxy games and a lot fewer Gradius games. I was quite happy with my performance here. So we won the mirror, which, let's be honest, it's a mirror. I would make the argument that the build that I played was better than the build that Thea played. But at the same time, it is still just a mirror. So the luckier player generally wins. Going first or second has a big impact on this matchup. So it's whatever, right? After that, Gradius, in my opinion, is quite a good counter to Dark Galaxy. So I got counterpicked there. Now, Dark Galaxy can absolutely win this matchup. But if Gradius just has their trap cards, Dark Galaxy gets absolutely smoked. So we lost that. That's kind of whatever. Then I had Gradius to play into the mirror. We won the mirror. Again, it's kind of a sacky matchup. Whoever goes first has a big impact on the game. If you find your trap cards, if you have your Star Protector's protection, it has a massive impact on how the game is going to be played. I think we did play it very well, though. Then we had the hero game, which again was another counterpick. So every time I played a deck, I got counterpicked, which kind of sucks, but again, it is what you expect. I could have won that game, but it was... The main issue we had was time was running out. Did not have the time. My brain does not work well under pressure. My brain doesn't work well most of the time, as you guys probably already know. So overall, I'm happy with going 2-2. Obviously, it's not the most spectacular performance, but I think we did well considering what we were working with there. Qualify. Hello, Tomato. Hope you're well. Hello, Rarity. We're doing exclamation mark Rarity in the chat. Hello, Rarity. Welcome on in. Yeah, I mean, it's warm. Outside of being warm, pretty good. Doing pretty good. Hope you're doing well as well. I can't wait for Konami to make D. One of these days. One of these days. We don't talk about dying to Vanilla Gradius. That was really interesting. I do actually want to know who saw that line and who executed it. Because we knew that line was coming, right? We were like, if they see this, they're going to go for this. But we were still like, they might not do it. I would be really curious to know who actually saw that line and went for it. But yeah, overall, I think we felt pretty good with how this went. And then obviously Royal Rebels came in clutch at the end. But it's Parko, right? Parko is slowly just becoming the Royal Rebel guy, which is really funny. But overall, I was quite happy with how this ended up. So now we'll take a look at some of the new OCG stuff. This shouldn't take too long, but we do want to talk about the new Union stuff in here. So batter up with the new baseball cards. So we got some new baseball cards, which is interesting. So first up, we have a 2600 attack level 8. So this is Captain Uniform 39 Youth Baseball Emperor Home Plate V. Or Home Plate 5? Or, you know, Home Run Smasher 5 or V. Again, we're still watching Zexal. So I don't know what this is a reference to. But let's read its effect. Level 8 Fire Warrior. Send one face-up level 8 monster on your field to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. During the main phase, this card was special summoned. You can place one level 8 monster from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. To choose one monster on your opponent's field and destroy it, then inflict 500 damage. It's a V, not 5. Well, it's a Roman numeral. It could be a V or a 5. Without... No, how am I supposed to know? Oh, here we go. This card's name is based on C39 Utopia Ray V. How do I think about this card? It depends how easily we can cheat out a level 8 fire. Because then we have to special summon it. Maybe you could play this with something like Monster Reborn, but that doesn't seem worth it. But like, if there's other ways to special summon this could actually be a really strong effect. Because just have a way to special summon this, ideally without using its first effect. And then pop a card is just really, really good. So then we have Feverous Colourful Ballpark. This card's name is treated as Feverish Spirit Stadium while in the graveyard. We can send the top 2 cards of the deck to the graveyard. While this card is face up in a field zone, this card's name is Feverish Spirit Stadium, and neither player can activate trap cards when a fire monster declares an attack, and the attack's pierce. That's not bad. Like, it's still a field spell, but we have ways to get this back from the graveyard. So we could just turbo mill this. Then I think it's Dododo can get this back from the graveyard. Then we just have a way to turn off your opponent's... Like, most notably, I think it's going to be the Legend Trap. What is it? Is it Storming or Drowning? Whichever one. It'll turn that off. But a lot of people are playing Compulse, or they're playing Torrential, or they're playing Treacherous Trap Hole. So I don't know how relevant this is going to be, but the piercing part of this effect could be really, really good. Parko's stealing my deck. That's just how it be. That's just how it be. You've got to take it back if you want to remain the Royal Rebel Master. You've got to bring it back in a big way, okay? And notably, you can go Sworn Supporter of the Celestial Saint into it if you wanted, which is cool. Yeah. The issue is, you still have to summon the Sworn Supporter, right? So you'd have to Tribute 2 to summon that, then activate its effect to discard a card, bring it back, then you get a pop. I mean, that's not bad. I do wonder, though, if it's just better to use the Celestial Dragon instead, like Divine Dragon, whatever his name is, to get a pop. The fact that these cards could come to Duel Links soon to revive baseball, they could. I wonder if a field spell that gives piercing to all your guys is maybe a little bit too good. Also, is it just me, or does this card just say bum on it? This just says bum. That was in the corner of my eye and I couldn't help but read it. This is amazing for the deck. Yeah, Fire Machines can use this. A name change, trap, protect, and piercing. Baseball. If we're talking Duel Links, the new level 8 is great. You revive Utopia with the dragon and then tribute it and recycle it. The issue is you still have to get 2 bodies out to tribute for the dragon, which a lot of the time the dragon is going to get hit with a trap card. So I don't know. It could be okay. I don't think it's like automatically great. Hello, Ursus as well. Welcome, welcome. Gradually getting used to playing Rebels. That's the way to go. Ball up magic. Wow, card named after me. Hello, Murata. Welcome, welcome. We were glazing you earlier, Murata. You missed the glaze session, so unfortunately, I have to go back to the VOD. Yeah, a joke towards rum. Rank up magic. Better up magic. Let's have a look. So what is this card actually called? Barrel up magic. Liner's Force. This card's name is treated as tag up magic sacrifice force while in the graveyard. Send 1 face-up level 4 or lower fire warrior monster from your field or a face-up field spell from your field to the graveyard. I like that you can send the field spell. Choose 1 level 8 fire monster, 2500 more attack in your hand or graveyard and special... This isn't, like, crazy, but this is good. Especially if you can get this card for free off of another card. I'm trying to think if there was a monster you... Because I think you can get this off of, like, the bobblehead spell. I don't know if you can get this off of a monster. In English is bus. It's not as good as bum, though, is it? I think Batter Up Magic is a much better name than Barrel Up Magic as well, personally. Rum Tum and Bum. First, hello, Hikari. Welcome, welcome. We were doing a Hikari glaze session earlier as well. Everyone's showing up after we finish glazing them. That's just how this is going to be, I suppose. But yeah, these cards are neat. On their own, nothing super special, but there is a lot of potential with these cards. All 3 cards are pretty decent, if though these spells shine more. Also, they have like 10 more cards to come. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So next up, we have the Pleiage stuff, the new Pleiage stuff. So Pleiage is a really cool monster with a really cool spell card. Let's see what these cards do. So first up, we have this. I mean, this is a nice artwork. Honestly, it's not really my cup of tea, but it's nice artwork. 3200 defense is a big defense number for a Psychic Fusion. So it's made using Pleiage and level 4 or lower dark monster plus 1 normal monster. Choose 1 normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it to your field. Then you can have the monster special summon by its effect gain attack equal to its original defense. So you could summon this, bring back Galactica Oblivion, and then have Galactica Oblivion be a 5000 monster? That could be pretty good. That could be pretty good. Glaze Barack Obama next. I mean, if Barack Obama started playing Rush Duels, I would probably have nothing but good things to say. But he doesn't, so he's just not on my radar. I'm sorry. That's just how it goes. Hello, Desmume. Welcome, welcome. Yo, OCG Rush Glaze. Not a fan of those, but I was never a big on normal monster strats. Personally, I'm the same, but it depends on what it is, I guess. But looks cool. Tomorrow, am I late for JP Rush Point Battle Room today? Yes, it started an hour and a half ago. In fact, I think it has just finished. So, absolutely. Is this a Chaos Galaxy deck? Well, this could be used in Chaos Galaxy, I guess. So we have a Dragon Normal Monster, Star Replete. So I guess you could bring this back as a 42. Yeah, that's neat. Needs 3 monsters to make it, though. Yeah, don't worry about that. You have to remember that if you summon Pledge, you're going to get Pledge's effect. So if we get it, we'll get it up. That would be the easiest thing to do here. So if we summon this out, if we have not drawn a card during the main phase, we can add a star restart or star at the beginning from your graveyard to your hand and then draw a card. So if we summon this, this is already a +2. So a free +2 into making a fusion that requires, I guess, 4 cards total means you're only really having to spend 2 cards to make it, if that makes sense. So, like, I think it's kind of fine. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not, like, the best thing ever, but this is sort of generic. So, a lot of the time, your level 4 or lower dark monster and normal monster are going to be pluses off something else as well, right? I'm not home, so I'm not hearing much, but Dark Galaxy best deck. Well. I mean, Dark Galaxy is performing super well at the moment. Revive the normal Legend Worm. Oh, you want to bring back... What's it called? Spiral... Is it called Spiral Dragon? I forget what it's called. Blue Eyes White Dragon with 5.5k attack? I mean, absolutely could do. Can one try to use the new Thunderbolt piece for Pledge Engine? I mean, potentially. Phantom Spiral Dragon, that's it. Or is it Phantasm Spiral Dragon? Either way, we could bring that back, which is pretty cool. Then we have Journeying Pledge. So this is a psychic effect, 1,000. This card's name is treated as Pledge while in the graveyard. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. This card's name is treated as Pledge for the rest of the turn. Choose a normal monster or fusion in your graveyard and add to your hand. So this is another +1. I think this, like, you need something to do. Like, just going into Unga Bunga Big Guy is not a strategy unto itself. That's not good enough. But, like, there is potential off these cards. A lot of these cards are just good advantage generators. So, like, absolutely this could be good. Phantom goes to, what, 59? I think, isn't it 29-29? So I think it would go to 58. Star restart on legs. I mean, basically. But yeah, overall, I think this looks pretty cool. Next up... move this over a little bit. Flutter and Squirm with Spirit Sprite of the Stars. I mean, it looks neat, I guess. So this is a level 2 Dark Insect effect. Send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. This card's name becomes Spirit of the Stars for the rest of the turn. Then you can add Pledge of the Sacred Shooting Star from your graveyard to your hand. Which, again, we have 2 different name targets for that. This is fine. This isn't, like, great, because we have to give up a card from our hand. But this is good, I think. I think this is a strong-ish card. Because this is a dark as well. So this would be the dark level 4 or lower that we need for the fusion. There is stuff here, right? There's definitely stuff here. This is my aesthetic. I like this. I quite like it as well. I don't think it looks bad. I didn't see this is heck. A shame the rest of the archetype doesn't look like this. Yeah, I like the simplistic minimalist design, personally. How is that an insect? What do you mean, Murata? Can't you see all of the insect features? Like, the wings are kind of insecty. It's got, like, kind of mandibles. Like gooey, slimy mandibles coming out of its face. I don't know, man. I got nothing to tell you. Then we have our latest release. So this is Stare Down the Immense Headhunters Goliath. I actually love this art. I don't know. This is my aesthetic, right? It's just a big guy. He's just big. He's got, like, strangely human hands. Like, they're not even, like, monkey hands. They're just, like, actual human hands. Which is kind of weird. But I don't know. I think bro looks cool. But let's take a look at his effect. So he's a level 7, 2500 attack. Level 7 Beast Warrior. Again, I'm a big Beast Warrior guy. I like the Beast Warriors, what can I say? During the main phase, this card was normal or special summoned. Choose a level 7, has to be 7, monster in your graveyard, special summon it to your field face up. But for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate the effect of Headhunters Goliath. I don't know what 7 specifically you'd want to bring back. But I like this card. I think this is cool. I don't know. I think it looks neat. Konami, I want Goatee in Rush. Konami, we have Rush Goatee at home. Cosmo-esque fish are just cool. I think you just really like fish. I think that's just your aesthetic in general at Manicus, you know. Looks more like a fish, aquatic creature. Literally, though, we can use this in Delirium. We could, because of the stat line. This card looks amazing and is decent. The odd headhunters are meh. Yeah. Goki at home, kinda. Hikari took look away its furry support. I mean, they're beasts, right? They're not beast warriors, so this wouldn't even necessarily work well with them. 0 defense. Don't worry about the 0 defense. We'll do something cool with it once we've used its effect. We'll like send it to the graveyard or something. Too bad they don't also summon 6 as well. Having the choice of 6/7 would be great. I feel like you wanted to just throw a 6/7 in there, but you know, to each their own. So moving on from there, we get to the meat and potatoes. It's time for Union to Advent. So, XYZ Dragon Cannon. Level 8, X-Head Cannon, plus Y Dragon Head, plus Z Metal Tank. You can Union Fusion this card. Fusion summon by placing the above-mentioned face-up cards on your field on the bottom of the owner's deck in any order as material. So the difference between this and Contact is, one, they just have to be on the field. They don't have to be in the monster zone. So if they're equipped onto other cards, you can send them from your spell and trap zone to the bottom of the deck. And 2, Contact shuffles them into the deck. This places them on the bottom. And there are going to be cards that we look at in a minute that do make use of having cards on the bottom of your deck. So this isn't one-to-one just exactly Contact Fusion. Send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. Choose 1 card on the opponent's field and destroy it. This is a good effect. It's not like the craziest effect. What is going to matter is how easily we can summon this. If we can summon this very, very easily and end with a lot of cards in our hand, this becomes a really strong effect. If we can't do that, it becomes kind of a weak effect. So we'll take a look. We'll see what else we got here. This card is going to get banned if we get XEs or XYZ. I mean, I don't know if it would get banned, but... didn't Thunderbolt already get errated and limited at one point? Yes, absolutely did. That big guy reminded me of the 10th seat of the Black Scripture from Overlord. 10th seat of the Black Scripture. I don't remember who that is. I would have to have an image. XY Dragon Cannon, made using X Head and Y Dragon Head. Again, you can Union Fusion it. And if you would Fusion Summon XYZ Dragon Cannon, you can treat this card as materials X-Head Cannon and Y Dragon Head. So that is very interesting. Because what that means is we can climb into this. So we could go like, if I have all 3, I could make this, pop a face-up spell card, then make this and pop another card, which could be really good. Then we have XZ. This lets you send a card from hand to the graveyard to choose a face-down spell trap. So not having to send a card is really good for this one. Having to send a card from your hand makes this a little bit awkward. Then we have the YZ. Send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, choose a face-down monster. So this is probably... like, these 2 are the good ones, but they both require a discard. That's the kind of the issue you get there. Then we have X-Head Cannon, who has fantastic stats for a level 4. Change is amazing that they count as their materials. Another change is meh, but I still want to play this deck. So what Kaiba did in the anime was the Rushdle version of the cards. Yes, and we can't wait for Yu-Gi-Oh! 9 to come out, which is all of the DM characters playing Rushdle, and Kaiba will be using these cards along with his Blue Eyes White Dragons, and it's going to be amazing, okay? We all know it's coming, okay? It's going to be amazing. We're all going to love it. I can already smell an alternative VZ Fusion. I mean, it absolutely could be. Absolutely could be. Yeah, but the one that pops face up with no cost, and the other is face down with a cost. But the face up is only spell cards. And how often does your opponent actually have face up spell cards? That's the issue. So now we get to see how the Union monsters work. So this is actually a Union. It's actually called Union as well. I wasn't sure if they were actually going to have these cards actually be Union monsters, but it looks like they are. So choose 1 face-up X-Head Cannon on your field, or a fusion monster that specifically mentions it as a material, and equip this card to that card as an equipped spell card. Gains 400 attack and defense. So we don't get the protection part of the effect. We just get the attack and defense buff, which is, like, still fine. So this is exactly the same, except it's 600 attack and defense. Then we have Union Supporter. So send the top card of your deck to the graveyard and declare one of the following names: X Cannon, Y Dragon Head, Z Metal Tank. This card's name becomes the card name declared for this effect's requirement until the end of the turn. Then you can choose one level 6 light machine fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon to your field of face-up defense position. So this is a really easy way to go into the XYZ, because we just bring back one of these and then we have it change its name into whichever one we don't have. This card on its own is kind of crazy. Like, this card's really good. Like, really good. No protection, boo. Nah, don't worry about that. Pots face up with no cost, the other is standard cost. XYZ is at least 5 more cards to come. One of them is either VW Fusion or a Rush exclusive Fusion. I don't think they're going to give us the VW stuff yet. I think if they did, they'd give it to us in a later release, personally. Text on the website indicate we also get unions that give effects when equipped. Those could either be for XYZ or some other... people speculate that baseball get unions. Baseball... Zexa weapons does make a lot of sense, to be fair. That does make a lot of sense. Y and Z can equip to fusions instead of giving protection, I guess. Yeah. You're not wrong. Crazy card. What's funny is Screwdriver Engine works with XYZ. You have to take into consideration that when making XYZ, the XZ and YX are sent back to the extra deck, so this might not always be good. Yeah, but it depends if you can just make it and then have it go into the bin, right? Because you won't always be making XYZ, right? So sometimes you'll just make a guy and then it will just die, right? So searching union. So this is what matters for the bottom of our deck. Excavate the bottom 5 cards of your deck and show them. Choose up to 2 X-Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, Z Metal Tank from among them and add them to the hand. Shuffle the remaining cards into the deck. So this is a +1. And as long as we have made any of our fusions, this is live. So this is just a really, really good spell card. But yeah, overall, I am interested to see how this goes. I think the best card here personally is Union Supporter. Union Supporter, just being able to give you relatively easy access to your boss feels really good, especially because you're using like almost no cards from your hand to do it. Like, all you need is a little bit of graveyard setup, and this is a 1 card XYZ Dragon Cannon, which is so good. Yeah, I don't think any of these decks that we talked about are bad. Like, even the baseball stuff seems alright, the Pleiad stuff seems alright. I mean, this is just more of the Pleiad stuff. I mean, this guy's kind of whatever. He's not really an archetype, but he's here. And then this stuff's actually pretty solid. I don't know how good it's going to be, but like, at the very least, this is all exciting and interesting to look at. Would be cool if Wave 2 includes the VWs. It would be cool, but I think realistically, the X, Y, and Z have enough to carry them on their own. I actually would almost rather have ABC. But I think that might be... Some people will like that, some people won't, right? So, talking about the meta and current tier lists. So, what I have done, I have gathered some tier lists from everyone's least favorite website, Twitter, or X, if you like the new name, I guess. And we're going to talk about this because this is different people's opinions. Obviously, some of these are quite old. Like, this was from May 24th, which was a whole week ago. So some of these are going to be based on old opinions, but I think it's interesting to look at how other people view the meta, and then kind of talk about how I view the meta, how you guys see the meta, right? Tier list time! ABC would be weird because the floats. Yeah, but you just change the effects, right? So many effects in Rush Tools have been changed, so you don't need to have them like 1-to-1, right? So, let's take a look at this list. So Dark Galaxy being an S, I agree with. Hero being an S, I sort of agree with. Hero is a weird deck right now, but I do think Hero is a strong one. I don't think 4D Divine Dragon should be in S. I just don't think it is on the same level as the other decks there. At this point, I am very much willing to say that Radius should be in S, along with the other decks. I don't think Divine Dragon should be up there personally, but the rest of the box, 5+ more cards for the XYZ will be good. That could be a really solid first wave. Absolutely, absolutely. Hello, Serena. Welcome, welcome. Red Boot so low. Huh. I mean, Red Boot is... it's not in like a spectacular spot. I think for me, I would also move Red Boot down. I don't think I would have it all the way down in D, but I would have it lower than I probably had it when we made our last tier list. Hello, Gale Fang as well. Blue Fang in D, Monka, huh? No, it's fine. I don't think... Again, I think it's a little bit low. I personally, right, feel free to disagree with this opinion. I don't think High-Tech Dragons is in the same power level as Vocalized Phoenix, right? I could be misjudging it. Personally, I think Vocalized Phoenix is a lot weaker than High-Tech Dragons. But that's just one man's opinion. True Duelists put High-Tech as low as possible. Not like Harpy and Oblivion. Royal Rebel's not on the list. Yeah, that is interesting. But again, some people are just not going to have it on their radar, right? If they're not playing against it, they're not playing it themselves. You heard it here, folks. High-Tech is ass. Hello, J-Strong. Welcome, welcome on in. They put Red Boot so low to make sure I don't have to face it. Everything is right in the world. High-Tech Dragons is a really weird deck because it's... if you draw a good hand, that deck is oppressive. It can be unbelievably good. And it doesn't really care about Star Pro. It does kind of care about Star Pro. There are going to be situations where Star Pro is really important against this deck. But a lot of the time, you just don't really care. So, the problem is, you still need to find an opener, and ideally, you need that opener to be the Red Boot in order to get everything going. So it's like, I don't know. It's a deck that I don't really like. And it's a deck that, again, and this is going to be something that we say a lot today, I think. If you sack with Red Boot, it's one of the best decks in the game. If you don't sack with Red Boot, it feels very underwhelming. But again, I think you could say that about a lot of the decks on this tier list. Which is why I'm not actually a big fan of this meta, personally. No XQT? Absolutely not. XQT is so unbelievably mid. It is unfortunately not very strong. Just not. I think Red Boot is at least B. It's B or C, for sure. It's B or C. I would probably, based on how this list is formatted, I would probably chuck it in B. I would probably chuck it in B. Royal Rebel Secret S tier. I don't know about Secret S. I think, for me, Royal Rebel is probably a high B or a low A. That's kind of where I've... But again, we'll show it as we go, right? We'll show it as I make my own list as we go through. Putting it in the same tier as Pyro is like it is. Pyro is a cool deck. Again, Pyro is not the strongest deck by any means, but it's not like... I think a lot of people write it off as being like a mean deck when it's actually pretty good. It's to keep people from matching with mirrors against me. Exactly. Where's my Rush Insects? Is there an SS tier? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But hello, Toast. Welcome, welcome. Red Eyes is B. Red Eyes has been underperforming. I mean, B is basically where we had this on our last tier list. So we'll see if this trend continues as we look at more tier lists. This is just the first one. We got a couple of others to look at as well. XQE is okay. I rate it a 6 out of 12. I kind of get the joke. I don't know. XQE is underwhelming is the word I would use. I'm trying. I don't know why, but I am. Found the Gryan O account. I see. Red Eyes initially vanished from thin air. Red Eyes is B for Meteor B. Real. Right, next list. So this one's a bit smaller. So S tier heroes. Now, first things first. This is an ancient list, right? This is from 2 weeks ago, right? But looking at this tier list, do you not think bro had like a really bad day playing against hero players? I don't know. I feel like this is a really strange tier list, but it's just some guy on Twitter, right? Realistically, it's an old list as well, but this is like... This is certainly a list. Look at how low Gradius is, by the way. Does anyone think, right, Gradius is worse than Light Galaxy. It's worse than Seven's Wonder Fusion. And it's worse than the current version of Red Eyes. Does anyone agree with this statement? Because this is wild to me. XQE is great. I rate it a 6. When Dark Galaxy is just a better Red Eyes, I'm seeing a lack of something. There's a lack of a lot of things in this one, to be fair. Light Galaxy. What are these Rage Bait tier lists? Light Galaxy, biggest fan. Sevens at B, Light Galaxy, above Gradius, WTF. Well, that's just how it be. That's just how it be. Red Eyes is a weird one, mostly because their ability to remove one back row is plausible, but they cannot survive Dark Galaxy matches most of the time. Red Eyes has a lot of issues. It's, again, I hate to keep saying this. Red Eyes is very sacky. If you open a good hand, you can pop off and have a crazy first turn. If your hand is mediocre, the deck doesn't do anything. And it's really awkward. Like, sometimes the deck is incredible. Sometimes it's just really bad. And it's just not consistent enough because of that. Gradius is bad because I brick with it. How do you brick with Gradius? I don't understand. You'd have to just open all your spells. This is Rage Bait. Damn, why is Gradius low? Alright, but we don't have a lot to say about this. Let's go on to the next one. So this is by Ra. Ra is generally quite a decent player. He's not like the strongest player. He's not like a world's player. But he is a decent player. And what have we noticed here, guys? There seems to be a deck in S that was also S in the last hit. Let's take a quick look at the comparison here, right? So S, S, A, 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 A. It's like the S and A tiers of these are mirrors of each other. I wonder if this is a sentiment that the Japanese players have, that they just think that Hero is really, really good, and that those three are also like the next best decks, which is interesting. Very interesting. Dark Galaxy have a good skill. I just wish Light Galaxy have a new skill. The thing is, the Dark Galaxy skill isn't that good. Like, it's good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Dark Galaxy skill is, like, awful. It's really bad. But it's just a +1 once. Other than that, it is just consistency. And if you can get good use of tributing out the Requiem, that is where, like, the real value comes from the skill. So, like, it's a weird one. At least in raw card advantage. I open all power meter, by the way. I mean, you could. Rage Bake if this level does not work on me. How are people rating 7s this high? I mean, maybe, you know, the Japanese bros, maybe they're cooking. There's something they know that we don't. Dark Magician is that high. Dark Magician, you have to remember, when people were first experimenting with Dark Magician, if you just get like a couple lucky games in a row, you feel like this deck is unbeatable, right? You go, I'm going to summon out my Dark Magician, wipe all of your back row before you have a chance to respond, and then OTK you. If that just goes well 2 or 3 times in a row, in your back of your head, you're going to be like, this deck is absolutely insane. This deck is busted. The S and S tier is shoot this deck, kill it, bury it. A hero is about to stay in the tier list for an entire year at this minute. That's fine. Don't worry about that. They underselling Gradius again. I should have put Matarian in D to piss off Ikari. I mean, is Matarian even on this list? No, it's not even here. Isn't that more annoying? But yeah. I don't agree with a lot of this. I also don't know how our friend Luke, his Dragon Knight of Darkness, even made it onto this list. Like, that is wild to me. Like, what are you doing here, bro? Like, you're just worse DDDD, which isn't here. The hero we actually want is Joint Tech Hero. Exactly, exactly. Matarian is not even living up to its name. Alright, next one. This is by Apple. So Apple is quite well known in the Japanese Rush community for having quite good takes. So we'll just take a look at his take, right? So S, Gradius. Okay, I agree. I think at this point, Gradius is a top tier deck. Pretty powerful. It has a couple of shortcomings. Those shortcomings don't let it down enough so that it's not one of the best decks. Gradius, absolutely. Divine Dragon. I don't think Divine Dragon is a bad deck. I don't think it's Gradius level. And I don't think it's better than Dark Galaxy for shoresies. I don't know. That seems weird to me. So immediately, I would bump that down. I would probably move Dark Galaxy up. Hero, bam! Hero not S tier for once. So I would probably have Hero in A. I don't think I would have it in S. It would be a high A, low S. That is how I would rate Hero, personally. Then we have High Tech. Again, this is probably about right for High Tech. I don't think it needs to go all the way down, but it also shouldn't be up with like the upper echelons, so that's probably fine. But I would probably move a lot of C up into B. Like, I don't think all of these decks are created equally. So I would probably move, maybe even all of C would go up and join High Tech at B. And then down here, these decks are fine. They can stay down here. We don't need these decks. I think some lists always post the new decks somewhere to show where the new decks fall in line with power if you're looking to invest in the new boxes. Yes, I mean, that's what I did. That's why we had Execute on our last list. A Darkness Dragon should mostly focus on Bat, though. What I think, though, is that it shouldn't have been in that tier, is my criticism of it. Gradius is a 50-50 deck, and that 50 works is only the top half of the screen. It's more like every single deck here has a decent chance to brick. None of the skills we're seeing here, I think, are consistent enough that it makes the deck feel like it's always gets to do its game plan, and that can be a bit awkward. So then we have this. This isn't so much a tier list as it is just showing the results of the PGRF. And we can see that, again, Dark Galaxy, then Gradius, then Hero, then DDDD, then Tier Thing, etc., etc. So this is also going to be informing our decisions as we go on. Why is Dark Galaxy not A? I mean, Dark Galaxy is A here. It's A here as well. And it's A here. It's A in all of them. Except in this one where it's S. For me, it should be higher, personally. At least it's more reasonable to the others. Closest one to being correct. Music Princess is in C tier. Please let the deck go, dog. I mean, Music Princess is still fine. Like, it's still absolutely playable. The Avarice Moustache. I mean, why is it not S? I think a lot of people were under appreciating the deck. And that goes, again, for a lot of people here as well. So we take a look at our tournament results. We can see there are a lot of decks that have been winning. If we take a look at the actual, like, if we make this bigger, the decks that have actually been performing the best in our tournaments is Elemental Heroes, Gradius just behind, 2% lower, then Dark Galaxy, which is 2% lower than that, and then a massive drop-off for 4D. So I think it goes without saying, these are probably the 3 best decks. I mean, this is collaborated. When we take a look at here, again, 3 best decks, and then a bit of a drop-off there. Most of these other lists are putting these as, like, sort of the 4 best decks, which I think does make a lot of sense. I don't know what these two are doing up here, to be honest, but it is what it is, right? Gonna do a list yourself today? Yes, because the plan is we're going to be putting out a video soon talking about what decks I would recommend people bring to WCQ. So that means doing a tier list update. If Music Princess is playable, so is Harpy. I don't think that is remotely true, but hello, Tomato. How's it going? How is Ether Dragon so high in someone's tier list? What makes it so good? I haven't played it much in the last month. Ether Dragon is not bad. Ether Dragon is sort of... There's 2 ways you can play it. The one that's had the most traction is you play it as like a control deck with a bunch of traps. So it's like the trap deck. And the other the trap deck is, I guess, high tech. So like they're fighting for like which is the best trap deck, right? But hello, United. Welcome, welcome. Generic skill, 1 tribute, pop 1 that can be recycled. Yes, it does have a bit of an issue with like actually finding damage, but play Pigeon Ether? No. Right, this was our last list. So what has changed? How has my opinion differed since we made this list? Let's have a look. I think this immediately goes up a tier. Immediately goes up a tier. Don't even have to think about it. then it gets a bit weird. I actually think I'm moving this down a tier. Like, I think this is still a good deck. I just don't think it's like a tier 2 good deck. Ether is going up a tier. I don't know if I would take Tearfing down a peg. Maybe it just stays there. I think I would probably bump this up a tier. I think Royal Rebels is, like, decent enough. I don't think it's, like, the strongest deck by any stretch, but I think it is strong enough that it deserves to be in tier 2. Also excited for the Dragon Quest stuff, even though overall it was kind of a letdown, but an expected one. I mean, I wasn't expecting, like, a load of information. Just, like, you know, some screens from the new game is kind of what I was hoping for. I believe we've got that. I haven't looked at it yet. All I know is people are saying the new main character doesn't look very good. So we'll have to wait and see until we actually get to that. So now the question is, do I think Hero deserves to be up here? I mean, data-wise, best performing in Western tournaments. Third best deck at 14%. That's basically the same. If we were making a tier list based off entirely of this stat, then it would be tier 1 would just be Dark Galaxy. Tier 2 would then be both of these. So, like, there is that. Here, they're basically all the same. I think Hero could easily be moved down. But it could also just stay here. I think it comes down to preference as to whether or not you think Hero should be a tier 1 or a tier 2 deck. Either way, it's like... it's decent. Absolutely decent. I think, personally, I would put this down as tier 2. But then it's like... is Hero in the same level as the rest of the decks in here? Maybe, maybe not. Let's go through them. Let's go through each of these decks. Let's talk a little bit about them. And before we do that, I think it's hard to talk about this meta without talking about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is Star Protector's Protection. So, in my opinion, this trap card sort of has warped the meta around itself. This trap card is so impactful to how this meta plays out and how each matchup plays. Because there are some decks that cannot play this card, and as such, don't get to benefit from how good it is against some of the decks. So if we take a look, this deck doesn't know how to play under Star Protector's Protection. Like, the maximum damage you can get with this is, like, you summon out, like, a 4300 Piercer? Which, like, that's not bad, but under Star Pro, that's kind of all you're getting, right? So you're not going to kill someone in one turn. Which, at the very least, is better than having to kill them in 3 turns, like the next card we have here. If your opponent has 2 copies of Star Pro, and you're playing Gradius, the maximum amount of damage you can inflict with one attack playing the default Gradius deck is 2,500. Which means, if your opponent has 2 Star Pros, and for 2 turns in a row, you can only attack for a maximum of 2,500 damage, you have to kill your opponent in a minimum of 3 turns. Which feels so bad. So bad. At best, it deals 39. Well, you can... if your opponent has a face-up monster, or if you have something like a curse and you can flip something up, you can get that 43 pierce, right? So, you know, there is that. I think Tearfing needs bumping down. The thing is, Tearfing is still a really good deck. Like, this deck isn't actually much weaker than this deck. The only reason I would say to bump this down is that this deck, you always play this, so there's no reason to play this. But, like, if we're talking about, like, comparative power levels, I would still say this is, like, still fine against a lot of the rest of the decks here. It sucks that Red Eyes can't play it. Yes, because Red Eyes is another deck that gets real badly punished by it. But what that does mean is there is now a niche of decks that are uniquely positioned to be stronger because they don't care as much about Star Protector's Protection. So, for example, Hero. They do care about it because a lot of the time the Hero end board is going to be like Burst, Voltic, Flare Wingmen, or Flame Wingmen. And that board can't do a lot through Star Pro. But this deck can also make Shining Flare Wingman. And you could make a burst next to it and then boost the Shining Flare up to like 5,000, 6,000 attack and just OTK your opponent. So this deck can just play through Star Pro, right? We can easily get 6,000 damage with one attack, is the be-all end-all, right? Then you have the High-Tech Dragon. This is another deck that can, with one attack and a bunch of burn, do 6,000 damage. Which means, again, it's a deck that kind of plays under Star Pro. But then when you start looking at a lot of these other decks, they're not very good under Star Pro. This deck caps out at 35, and it can be really difficult to get that 35, because if you're playing the Red Eyes deck, and your opponent has 3 monsters, they activate Star Pro, get rid of one of their monsters, they have 2 monsters in the way. Now you need to summon out 2 copies of your Black Skull Dragon to pop both of them out the way to get in for 35. And that sometimes is doable, sometimes is not, which makes this deck feel a lot worse in a Star Pro meta. I thought High Tech would be good because everyone is running play Star Pro. So Red Boot can be good. The High Tech Dragon, though, has a lot of problems. First off, it's really bad into every other trap card. If your opponent's playing the new tower trap card, the one, what's it called, Crisis at the Collapsing Tower, whatever it's called, that messes up High Dragon, or the High Tech Dragons, really badly. If your opponent has Shady, that can mess up the deck real bad. If your opponent has any Legend Trap, like any of at all in the game, they all mess up this deck a lot. So it has that issue. On top of, if you don't find exactly a Red Boot in your hand, it's really difficult to do anything. Because a lot of the time you're just going to be playing a very defensive game and then hoping you don't just die. So then it comes down to, do you open the trap cards you need to survive against the other decks? So these 2 decks will happily kill you through most boards. Unless you Star Pro them. Right? So we're back to that again. Royal Rebel says, thank you for using Star Protection. It's just one less back row. I mean, kind of. Like, Royal Rebel can still get messed up by Star Pro. It's one of those weird decks where you don't... Like, outside of a big hard rock turn, it does kind of hurt. Because a lot of the time you will, for example, flip your opponent's guys up, assuming you're playing a way to do so. You'll summon out Heavy Metal. Not Heavy Metal. Doom Metal. You summon out Doom Metal. Pop your opponent's board. Then summon out, like, a cul-de-sac and maybe, like, a 15. And try and kill your opponent with that, right? That doesn't work, obviously, if your opponent's playing Star Pro. Doesn't Light Galaxy do well versus Star Pro? So Light Galaxy does, right? Which obviously is down here. The issue is Dark Galaxy, again, has a lot of the same issues that the Red Boot deck has, which is the skill is a little bit awkward, where sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not. And, again, really bad against, like, every other trap card. So it's a tricky one. I think Light Galaxy could be like a bit of a sleeper hit, but I don't think it's going to be like mainstream. I think it's going to be kind of a, oh, I'm trying something cute, it can get me a couple wins here and there, rather than it's going to be like a dominant meta threat, right, or like a hard counter. Our problem with Red Boot, unironically, is that when people see Yuamu with regular skill, they all play around Red Boot with these. Yeah, I mean, there are like just cracked hands you can get, which make the deck really strong. And as we saw Giorfio play this deck way back when he did win a tournament with it, this deck can play Star Pro. It can play a lot of other good trap cards. So this is, in my opinion, sort of a trap deck. It's just not consistent enough. If you don't mind like getting a win every now and then losing a bunch of games, then getting a win and then losing and then winning and then losing, it comes down to a lot of decks, as we've already said, are very sacky. And this is one of those sacky decks. It depends. Like Galaxy, we need to pop 2 monsters. But like Galaxy can also just summon out Eternal, right? And you can just make like a 7 or 8,000 attack piercing Eternal. So it always has like a place. I believe in Hard Rock Supremacy. I mean, yeah, Hard Rock's good. I think Hard Rock is a really, really underrated card that a lot of people, for some reason, rate really poorly. What else do we think about this? So this is another deck, the 4D deck, that is another trap deck, I guess. So like the trap decks here are probably this and this. These are like the two trap-heavy decks. 4D has the same issue that Gradius has a lot of the time, which is it can be really hard to get more than 2,500 damage in with one attack. Which, if your opponent's playing Star Pro again, puts you in a really weird position where it's like, well, now I need to do a big chunk of damage and I don't have access to it. So what a lot of people have started doing is they're now playing Great Maju Gazet in this deck. And Great Maju Gazet can attack for like 5,000 attack. Okay, that's pretty good. The issue is 5,000 isn't 6,000. Now, we are in an ad break as well, so we'll just wait for the ads to go away. So we'll just wait for them to trickle away. And while they do, we will just continue to hydrate. That is the plan today. Just always hydrate. Alright. Ad break will be disappearing in 1 second. Welcome back from the ad break. Everyone that got hit with the ads. I hope the ads were good. While ads are on, will you play a game of that dice game again? I don't think that Dungeon Dice Monsters clone game is good enough on its own right now to warrant keep playing it. I liked it. I'll keep an eye on it and I'll see where it goes. Right now, without PvP or without like scaling difficulty, without deck building, without any additional features, I think it's a fun thing to like play once and then not play again. So I don't really have much of a reason to, but I'll see where it goes, and if it gets a big update, I'll go back to it in the future, I think. Because again, I like Dungeon Dice Monsters. Personally though, I've always preferred Capsule Monsters. I think Capsule Monsters is just a better version of Dungeon Dice Monsters in a lot of ways. What dice game? It was called DDD. Dungeons, Drakes, and Dragons or something? Dice, Dungeon, Drake, DDD. Let me have a look. Here we go. I'll grab it up quick, just so you can see what we're talking about. So it's this. So this is, effectively, it's a Dungeon Dice Monsters clone. Where you build your... It's Dungeon Dice Monsters. There's a couple of like rule changes, but the fundamentals are the same. You unfold your dice, build a board to get your opponent, summon monsters, kill each other. We played a game of this on stream, and it was pretty fun. But it's very, very early. For a sec, I thought it was Dicey Dungeon. Nah. Dicey Dungeon is a really cool game as well, though. So, I don't know, is this the list? Is this how I think it is? Does anything else need to change here? I don't think so. Like, again, maybe we could bump Tearfing down a bit. Maybe we could do something with bumping something up. I think this is probably fine. I don't know, maybe Pyro could come down. Like, Pyro hasn't really been doing a lot. I could maybe see Pyro coming down to here. I don't hate this. I'd even... As weird as it sounds, I might bump this down below 7s. I actually think 7s has more potential than the Red Eyes at this point, personally. I don't know, it's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one. Because, I mean, if we take a look here again. High Tech, then it's like 7's Road, then Tearfing, Red Eyes Meteor, Music Princess. I guess Chemicalized is there. Dragonic, Dark Magician, but I don't think any of those decks are getting bumped up at all. I'd agree, Red Eyes Fall Off needs to be studied. I think it's just... the meta just evolved in a way where it's just not competent enough anymore. I think I like this. This is now... this tier 3, this is just the pro player tier. This is where pro is relegated to. Every deck that pro ever plays, we now have to put into tier 3. That's just how it goes. Yeah, I think I like this. I think I like this setup. So for me, if I was to recommend a deck, my deck is tier 3. What is your deck, Sakadetsu? Is it Spellcasters? Because, I mean, Spellcasters was already in tier 3. We've just left it in tier 3. Where is D-Linker? D-Linker's down here. Down here in High Rogue. Yes, spellcasters. I think we probably take this off as well. I think this was cute that we saw it like do okay once, but I don't think we need to worry about it too much. I think we probably don't need Execute on here as well either. Hello, Mr. Tomato Chat. Hello, Sakadetsu. Ladder bro. A 0 gem meta, let's go. My deck is in tier 7 or 8. What is your deck, Corey? Out of curiosity. What is your Duel Links deck? I'm still happy. See, my favorite deck right now is this one. Is the old Divine Dragon 4D deck. The DDDD. I love this deck. I think it's so much fun. Beyond that, I don't really know. I like Gradius. I like Dark Galaxy to an extent. I like Hero to an extent. Tearfing is a bit unga bunga. But then again, Tearfing and Dark Galaxy aren't that much different. So, kind of whatever. I like Royal Rebels. I really don't like High Tech. Spellcasters is it's a bit boring for me. I think it's a bit plain. My favorite deck is D-Linker. I just like this funny deck. I mean, that's fair enough. Should I invest on Plant DDDD? What? When we say invest, what does that mean? Do you have to go back and get the plant cards? Because I'm not sure that's worth it. Wind, sadly, it's crap. Yes. Unfortunately, Fart is not making its way back onto the list. He's going to stay down here. I don't think we need any of the rest of this up here, right? Like, none of this really makes a difference. None of it's going to be particularly impactful. Invest on Noodle Ether. I also don't think Noodle Ether is going to be particularly good. I think, for me, you could make any deck work with Ether if it doesn't require the Fusion spell card. I think if you need the Fusion spell card to be good, unfortunately, Duel Links, the game is too fast, where if you have to spend several turns just hoping you draw into Fusion, it falls apart really badly. So, if your deck doesn't require the Fusion spell, I think you can make it work with Ether. So if you're a Contact Fusion deck, if you are a deck that, again, just doesn't require Fusions in general, absolutely it can work. If you do require Fusion, it's a little bit yikes. I wish Join Tech was good. I mean, it was good for a long time. It's still, like, playable. Like, it's probably in Rogue. The thing is, the Rogue is, like... This Rogue section is just, like, everything else in here. Like, any of this is fine. You can play this and do decently well with it. It's just, these are the actual meta-relevant decks, right? I just meant changed name, spell Ether. Yeah, oh, right. I see. You want to use, what is it even called? Flavor Shift? Is that what it's called? I mean, you could, but that's just a one-card thing, right? It's not, that's not like a whole new deck. That's just include a spell card, right? I think overall I like this. I think this is a fine list. So, if I was recommending to you guys what deck I think you should play, if it's stage 1, literally anything. If you play enough of stage 1, you will make it to stage 2. Stage 1 is so unbelievably free. If you want to have an easier time, any list in the top 3 tiers here will get you there quite easy. That's how I look at it. You heard it here first, folks. Any non-fusion spell deck good on Ether. Everyone go invest in Sea Serpent Ether. Unironically, if you want to play Ether with Pool Glaze Spears, that will work. That will work as a deck. And that is a Sea Serpent. I'd add one deck to Rogue just so it's aesthetically pleasing. Now, the trick there is we just get rid of this. Be gone! There we go. now it's fine. If we had more Grand Extreme, it'd see more play, probably. My bad, this stage 1 is not as easy as normal Rush KC. Too bad this stage 1 is not as easy as normal Rush KC. Well, it's because you have all the NPC duels, right? That make it even freer than it already was. That works. Hello, Hit! Everyone is showing up, like, after we've already glazed them. That's what's going on. We were talking about you earlier, Hit. Welcome on in. What have you guys covered so far? So we were talking about... Let's go through everything. We talked about the update that's coming. We talked about the Rush Wars. And this specifically spilled over to talking about Fangirls, UTS, and Kings of the Sun. For some reason, We didn't talk about Rush Rhythm Crew, even though that's probably something we should have spoken about. We talked about the OCG reveals. So we got the new baseball stuff, which you'd probably be interested in. Hit. I assume you've probably already seen these, but there's new baseball cards coming to the OCG. We talked about the new Pledge cards that are coming out. We talked about... Well, that's just more Pledge stuff. We'll just get rid of that. We don't need that either. We talked about the new XYZ Dragon Cannon stuff that's coming. Then we looked at some other people's tier lists. So we went through and took a look at some of these Japanese tier lists that are floating around on Twitter. There was generally a theme that everyone's rating heroes quite highly. This was probably the one that made the most sense to us. This is, you know, I still don't fully agree with this list, but I think this is more agreeable than a lot of the other lists we looked at. Then we talked about the PGRF and the results there, where Dark Galaxy was, without a doubt, the most represented and performed very, very well. And then we started doing our own tier list, and we're now talking about decks that we think we would recommend for people to play in Stage 2. That's what we're doing now. C stuff with XQE worked, imagine with D4s. I'm thinking of starting out with Music Princess and then shifting to Gradius. I mean, you could do. I think Music Princess might struggle a little bit, but we'll be fine overall. Unions. Pretty good, and they don't even have all. Seven Roads? Yeah, Seven's Road is fine. I don't think it's like crazy strong, but I think it's about the same power level as these two. Because right now, realistically, if you want to take a deck that is going to do very, very well, I would take something from the first two tiers. These are going to be the easier decks to do very, very well with. Now, if I'm going to recommend a deck that I would say you should play, the most obvious one is Dark Galaxy. Why Dark Galaxy? Well, Dark Galaxy doesn't actually require a lot of brain power to pilot correctly. It requires more brain power than it used to, I guess, but for the most part, it's very quick, it's very easy, it's very powerful. If you're playing the version that has Chrysaor in it, which means a lot of people have basically dropped the White Rider altogether, it's very, very strong. All you basically have to do is find a Chrysaor, get it on the board, summon out a Forbidden, pop your opponent's board out the way, attack them 3 times directly, the game is over. The deck now also has very easy access to Probe, which is a contact fusion that can be made very, very easily and can pop back out of the way, which is very good. Weaknesses of this deck. It falls over to a lot of trap cards. If there is a Star Pro on the field, the amount of damage you can do has now been drastically reduced. And if you're playing against another meta viable deck, they will probably clap you back. So for example, if you're playing against a Gradius player and they have a Star Pro going first, you're probably not winning that duel. They're probably going to stop you when you try to kill them, and then they will kill you on their next turn. That is just how the deck generally works. So it's not infallible, but it is quick. It is easy. What more can you ask for? Now, this deck also has another issue, which is if your opponent spams 25s. So if for example, if you're against the Gradius player just makes like 2 Ripple Lasers and then summons out an option, boosts the option to 25. Sometimes that can be really difficult to out. But if your opponent does that, you can just make double Dark Matter Requiem, and that is an OTK on its own, because you just turn them both to defense, slam into both, GG. Again, that does not work if your opponent has Star Pro, so it's awkward. Can you put Gradius in front of Dark Galaxy? No. Unfortunately, it just hasn't proven itself, in my opinion, in enough places to be a better deck than Dark Galaxy. If you're asking me which deck I would prefer to play, which deck I would much rather see doing well, it would absolutely be Gradius. But people just keep winning with Dark Galaxy. What more can we do? Requires some wallet power though. Yeah, but most of these decks do. So, then we have Gradius. Now, Gradius, if you've already played it a lot, is really good. If you are not already a veteran with Gradius, I would not recommend you play it. Because you need to, in some cases, make so many plays, make so many moves, do so many contact fusions, and then you clear your board, and then you make more contact fusions, and you loop, and then you shuffle stuff back into your extra deck. There are so many moving pieces. I would not recommend this to climb with unless you're already a veteran of this deck. Now, that being said, even if you are a veteran of this deck, I think your win percentage is going to be quite good with this deck. But you now have to counterbalance that with your games in some situations are going to go quite long. That in itself is quite bad for this sort of format. Especially if these guys are going herder, I'm playing like 6 games for every 1 game you're playing. That can be quite annoying. On top of the fact, if you're planning to grind this out for 3 whole days, this deck could be a little bit mentally exhausting. Now, I think you'll get by. Like, if you're a player like Sack, right? If you're a player like Solomon, if you're one of these players that's played this deck forever, you're going to be fine. Like, I would manage to play this deck for 3 days straight, I think. I have enough experience with this. I could just play this deck for 3 days straight. I wouldn't necessarily make the absolute 100% optimal move every single duel, but I would be able to cope with it. But, for a lot of people, you're going to burn out on this deck. It requires just a little bit too much thinking. If you're realistically trying to climb as high as you can get, if you're aiming for like top 100 and not really much past that, Unga Bunga is the way to go. You don't want big thinky deck. Draw for your own sack? Exactly. Game start, draw only Gradius names. All option names are at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, that can and will happen sometimes, but that shouldn't happen often, right? I'll play Heroes in Dark Galaxy. Yeah. So, moving on to Heroes. Heroes is probably the second deck I would recommend. The reason being, Heroes is not complicated, but it is kind of sacky. There is a massive, massive difference between getting a +2 off of Argent and getting a +0. There is a massive difference between opening a hand that has elemental circulation and not opening a hand that has elemental circulation. There is a massive difference between setting 3 monsters and setting 1 or 0 monsters. Hero has so much variance where if you open a good hand, this deck feels incredible. It feels amazingly powerful. If you open a bad hand, this deck feels utter dog shit and is so useless that it's not even worth playing. So that's where a lot of these decks kind of fall into this weird grey area where if you open the right hand, your deck gets to pop off and go crazy. If you open a subpar hand, your deck kind of does nothing. And then the same thing happens with these trap cards. If you play against Dark Galaxy and you open Star Pro, a lot of the time, you're in a good position to just win that game. If you don't open Star Pro, a lot of the time, they're in a good position to just murder you on turn 2. So, finding the trap you need, a lot of the time is just, did you get lucky? And then if you're playing the Dark Galaxy player, or if you're from the Dark Galaxy player's side, you're now sat there like, did my opponent open the Star Pro? Yes, I got unlucky that they opened that trap. Or did they open it? No, I got lucky they didn't open that trap. And then, so a lot of these matchups feel like this deck theoretically does counter this deck, but if this deck just gets unlucky, and what that means is did they find Star Pro, the matchup gets turned on its head. So it's like, it's very awkward. It's very awkward. Hello, Cyclone. Welcome on in. For me, it's Gradius. Giant sack. Heroes to me is also go first or crumble. It can be. Hero is definitely one of the few decks in the current metagame that really, really benefits going first. Because let's be honest, Heroes turn 2, like as in like if they go first on turn 2, they now have an uphill struggle to try and break their opponent's board. Most of the time they're not going to kill on that turn, which means you have to take away as many of your opponent's resources as possible, whilst also trying to find enough of your own resources that you can protect yourself on the following turn. Which sometimes is easy, a lot of the time is hard. Whereas a lot of these decks want to go second. Dark Galaxy typically is quite happy to go second because they have a good chance to just kill you going second. Radius will quite happily go second because they have quite a good chance of just killing you if they go second. I would say 4D is probably another going first deck. This is a deck that really likes going first. And I think Royal Rebels is also in this camp. Royal Rebels going second feels really awkward. I generally find that I want to go first just so I can have cards for my second turn. But Just open decently. Well, that's what I mean. I think this meta is very sacky in that it's like, did you find Star Pro? Yes. Okay, you can play the game. Did you find Star Pro? No. Okay, you're probably dead, right? Did you open Circulation in Heroes? You can play the game. Did you not? You don't get to play the game. Did you find Chrysaor in Dark Galaxy? Okay, you get to play the game as long as your opponent doesn't have Star Pro. When you're playing Gradius, a lot of the time it can be like, again, Gradius is mostly just on Star Pro, but Gradius can also be, do you have a way to get to British and multiple? If you don't, you're not doing anything, right? So a lot of these decks do feel very sacky, which I don't think was as prevalent in previous metas that we've had. I think this meta especially feels like have the right cards or lose. And that doesn't feel great if you're playing this from a competitive standpoint. And I think when it comes to the 72-hour grind of Stage 2, a lot of players are going to find that very frustrating. Hello, Hidden Bankai. Welcome, welcome. Do you have a good up-to-date Dark Galaxy list that won something? On DLM, there is one recent second-place list, and the rest is 2+ weeks old. You might be able to find some like point battle lists that did quite well. But like for the most part, I think Japanese players have started cutting down to about 6 spell traps. And those 6 spell traps can vastly change from deck to deck. So you're going to have some people that are playing like Curse. You'll have some people playing Universal Storm. You're going to have some people playing Shiny Shady. There's a lot of different ways to kind of build it. But I think the key takeaway is you want as few spell traps as possible. We've even seen some people like X-Crack playing 0 spell traps in that deck. I personally don't think 0 spell traps is the way, but the fewer spell traps you have, the higher likelihood that Chrysaor gets 3 attacks. The higher likelihood that Cataphract hits a monster and you get a card back from the graveyard. So that is my takeaway. Play as few spell traps as possible while still playing spell traps. But for the most part, it's kind of fine. But again, we'll throw lists up when we actually make the video. That being said, I don't think I would recommend DDDD. I think you can play this deck. If you have this deck and you like this deck, you can absolutely play it. But this is another one of those slower control style decks that wants to sort of grind the game to a halt. Now, it is a lot easier to play than Gradius because you just draw trap, set trap, use trap, slowly kill your opponent. That's the strategy of this deck. But do you want long games? As well as it has some really awkward matchups. Like, in my opinion, this deck is really bad into Gradius. Like, just really bad into Gradius. So it's not going to have a lot of, like, winning matchups. Or pressure. You can play the pressure version, but the pressure version feels very high roll. So I'm not sure I like it very much personally. Where can you see Japanese players' deck lists? So a lot of Japanese players will just post them on Twitter. So the best thing to do is just follow as many different Japanese players as you can, and then they'll post their lists as and when. So for example, Apaki is a good one, or 8mm Apple. So we click on him. He posts lists relatively frequently. Looks like he hasn't done it in a little while. So this is one of his lists. So this is obviously a bit more of a spicier list because he's playing the Fusion spell card. But this is like an example list that he played, right? Again, not all of these lists are going to be super great, but a lot of the JP lists end up on Twitter. That's just where they post them. So moving on from that, Tearfing. I don't think it's really worth playing Tearfing unless like you just like this deck more than this one. This deck can still absolutely pop off. This deck can still get free wins, can get really quick wins. I would just say the other skill, Requiem Contact, is just better. Royal Rebels. What do we think about Rebels? I think I would probably not recommend Rebels unless you are a Rebel veteran. If you've played Rebels a lot, you understand the intricacies of how the deck works, you really like the deck, and you like its matchup spread, I think Rebels is a solid pick. If you've not played Rebels before, I don't think it's worth trying to gather all the cards together, because that's going to be quite expensive, like gem-wise. And I don't think it's worth learning the deck inside and out just to grind out stage 2. But I do think Rebels is a solid pick. I think it is decently strong. And I think you could quite easily get to like top 100 with Rebels. Easy. Easy with Rebels. I think Rebels is a decently good pick. Then you get to these three. I personally would not recommend any of these 3 decks. All 3 of these decks are a little bit inconsistent in trying to get their game plan off exactly how they want it. So, for example, Sevens is quite good at doing Charmy plus Sevens Road Magician. It does that very consistently. What it doesn't do consistently is play Sevens Wonder Fusion and get that off how you need it to every game. It doesn't necessarily get Sevens Fear Magician into the graveyard consistently. You can get it in the graveyard. It's just you don't always get it there when you need it to be there. So I would say these are inconsistent decks. They're still good enough to absolutely get you there, but I wouldn't recommend them, personally. And then High Rogue, I wouldn't really recommend any of these. I think you could play these and they'll be fine, but I wouldn't recommend them. So I think that's my be all end all. I think I would recommend Dark Galaxy and Hero. These are the ones I would say, oh, you wanna climb, you wanna have a relatively easy time. You wanna have like the easy to play decks that do generally win games quite quickly. I think Hero and Dark Galaxy are the way to go. D-Linker is okay. So D-Linker is fine. The issue I have with D-Linker is most of the time it is just worse than Gradius. Because the best way to play D-Linker is the Gradius version. The only benefit you get out of playing the D-Linker like skill itself, or the D-Linker version of the deck, is because you can play Polglace, you can get 3,500 damage in instead of 25, which means you can close games in 2 turns. But the trade-off is you no longer have a way to get a free +1 into Avarice, which also gets you another +1 because Avarice gives you a +1, and it is a free way to recycle your bosses. You can still play Avarice in this version of the deck, but now you have to just luckily draw into it, which means you can't mill it, and you can't have it at the bottom of your deck, right? So I think D-Linker is fine. It's solid. It's just, why would you play it when this exists? I guess you could make the same argument for Tearfing, to be honest. Like, why would you bother playing Tearfing when this exists? Like, by that logic, I could bump this down to here, maybe. But I mean, maybe I'll leave that down there. Like, because I think power level-wise, this is fine here. But, like, there's no reason to play this, because you can just play this. So it's like, on decks like 4D and Rebel, it does feel like your deck build matters a lot for how well you do. So if you're not confident in that, you definitely shouldn't use it. Yes, I agree. At the same time, I do think 4D, I think, is somewhat forgiving. I think you can absolutely do well with 4D if you tailor your deck to beat one of the 2 big decks. So I think either you build the deck to beat this, or you build the deck to beat this. And you don't try and beat both. Because if you try to build the deck to beat both, it ends up half-assing both attempts and can now quite easily lose to both. Well, again, that might just be my opinion on it. Whereas Dark Galaxy and Gradius have more rigid and really solved structures. Yes. I tend to agree. I think, again, Dark Galaxy you can build in a bunch of different ways. Like, I mean, we can see from Apaki here, right? Already, this is versions playing Trade-In, it's playing Pot of Greed. People play like the back row hate, some people are playing Curse. There are so many different ways to build the deck. But fundamentally, they're all going to kind of get you to the same place. So yeah, I think this is probably fine. I think this is how I would have it set up for me personally. So again, TLDR, or TLDW. Play Dark Galaxy. That's my advice to you. Dark Galaxy is not going to win every game. It is not an unbeatable deck. Your opponent sometimes will summon out multiple 25s, and you can't do much about it. Sometimes your opponent will just have Star Pro, and you can't do much about it. Sometimes you will just not open Christ Seal early game, and you won't be able to do much about it. However, the deck is consistent enough and powerful enough to probably be the strongest deck in the game right now, closely followed by Gradius. I would say these two are pretty much on par with each other. I think Gradius is more, are you a thinking man? Do you like controlling the game? Do you like long combos and like recycling and going through your resources and being able to beat your opponent through pretty much anything except Star Pro? That's going to be the way to go. So in my opinion, you either want to be playing one of the 2 best decks in the game, or a deck that plays Star Pro because you'll use that to beat the 2 best decks in the game. Which, the best Star Pro decks are probably going to be 4D, Rebels, and then like High Tech, I guess. Like it's these 3. Because this can't play Star Pro, 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 and this can't play Star Pro. So if you want to play Star Pro, you're kind of limited to just these 3 decks. Again, unless you want to play something down here. But then even down here, there are decks that can't play Star Pro. This can't play Star Pro, this can't play Star Pro. Is there a limit 3 for Light Galaxy? I don't think there is. I can't remember. But with all of that done, I think that's all the yapping I wanted to do about this specifically. That is tier list done. We've talked about the meta. I've gotten all my thoughts across, which means we're going to jump into something that isn't Yu-Gi-Oh related. So as we begin winding down, we're going to take a look at this. So this is the Dragon Quest update. I wanted to watch this because this apparently goes over all the new Dragon Quest stuff that's happening. Hello guys, I just wanted to ask how to find good deck lists for these decks. Oh, that's loud. Let's turn that down a bit. Alright, good deck list of the deck. I would always recommend Duel Links Meta. If you go to... If we get off of that. We go over to here, we can go Top Decks Rush. This is always a good resource. If I post this in here. This is always going to be one of the best places to get lists. If you click into one of these decks, it will tell you how the deck performed. So if I do this a little bit, we can see that this, played by Norrentino, got 2nd place in a tournament. These got top 4 from Matea. This got 1st place. So this list won a tournament. So this is a really, really strong version of this deck. And you know, because it won a tournament, you can go and click in and see what it like managed to beat. So here it managed to win the mirror match. So I would say always that. If you're not going to use Duel Links Meta, the next best place is going to be just Twitter. A lot of very good players post their deck lists on Twitter. So it's always going to be a really good place to go to. Anyway, back to Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 1 looks so dated. Like, unbelievably dated at this point. Nostalgia bait achieved. Dragon Quest 3. You know, I never hear anyone talk about Dragon Quest 4. Or 5, actually. I guess 4... No, I do hear about 5 a little bit. I have heard about 5 a little bit. This 4 is the one I never hear anything about. Dragon Quest 6. Thanks for the info. We're searching a good Rebels list, but there isn't one on Duel Links Meta. I mean, you'll find, like, okay lists on there. They'll just be old, is the issue. Dragon Quest 8! I love Dragon Quest 8. Dragon Quest 8 is so good. Dragon Quest 9. Again, I like 9. 9, to me, wasn't as good as 8. This is so nostalgic. Brings back a lot of them. Oh, wait, it's not FF. Yeah, I was more of an FF guy growing up as well. I love Final Fantasy. Here we go. Dragon Quest 11. I really, really like Dragon Quest 11. This game was so much fun. What is this? There we go. This is the Dragon Quest 11 I know. Was that like a 3DS version or something? 9, 11 are my favorites, but 8 is also great. I love 8. 8 to me was like the first like 3D voice acted Dragon Quest game. And I loved it for that. The 3DS version? I didn't even know it had a 3DS version. Alright, so they should be talking about the new game. And I believe there was also an extra bonus game they dropped as well.
皆さんこんにちは。ドラゴンクエスト12エグゼクティブプロデューサーの斉藤です。
どうもゲームデザイナーの堀優
The music is so good, man. Only one I finished was 4. 4 is a weird one. I never hear anyone talk about 4.
40年という長い間シリーズを愛してくださったファンの皆様のおかげでこの日を迎えることができました。本当にありがとうございます。
The series is still going strong.
これほどまで長く続けられたのはずっと遊んでくれたファンの皆さん、そして支えてくれたスタッフたちのおかげです。感謝の言葉しかありません。ありがとうございます。
本当であれば今日は
Man, we're really just not saying anything, are we? Let's skip ahead a little bit because I don't want them to just glaze the game. I want to see the new one. Yo, is that acceleration gate? Hello, hello. Somebody Photoshop a by any means necessary Goku jacket on Pro, please. Were you alive for the first one? The first Dragon Quest? No. Not the... I don't think I was alive for the first Final Fantasy game, even. Here we go. Here we go. Right, I'm ready. I'm so ready. This is going to be good. Okay. Generic green field with generic castle. This is very Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest, if anyone doesn't know, is the most vanilla JRPG you will get. There is no spice. They don't try and break the wheel. They just make a solid game. They just make... mechanically, the game is always just solid. Story-wise, it's just a solid story. Okay, so we get a look at MC. I'm assuming this is another main character. Oh, I like weird lizard dragon men. Okay, so we didn't get a lot there. I think the most interesting thing for me there was like the dragon guy. I think he looked cool. Dragon Quest 12 news, one new side game and a Switch 2 version of Dragon Quest 11 announced separately. They said what happened. I mean, we don't want to like go for it for ages. Eyes alive, it's good to see you, my tomato brother. Always a pleasure, Gay. Always, always a pleasure, my friend. Oh, they just said that they completely restarted development, changed the team and the name of the game from zero. Okay. I mean, that's not ideal, if we're being honest, but... Isn't Dragon Quest ginormous on JP? Yes, it is massive in Japan. Like, ridiculously big. This is for the first test stuff after restarting from zero. I see. Like in the last 6 months. Didn't Lumen Tale release as well? Yes, I believe Lumen Tale has just come out. I didn't really like the look of Lumen Tale though, personally. Oh yeah, that means this is the last group of characters, I guess, that Toriyama will have designed. That's kind of sad.
今日お伝えしたのはほんの少しですが、今までのシリーズにはなかった要素も取り入れ、より進化したドラゴンクエストとして頑張って開発を進めています。ぜひご期待ください。
Okay.
そんなわけですが、なんと。
Here we go. Here we go.
実はもう一つお知らせしたいことがあります。
Seeing Dragon Quest always reminds me of Sandland. Well, it's because it's all Toriyama art.
どうぞ。
Right, here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go, baby! I do already know about this, so I'm not gonna like pretend this is the first time I've seen this, but is there actually a trailer? That's the question. Dragon Quest Monsters! It's back, baby! I love Dragon Quest Monsters, by the way. I had the original Game Boy Color Dragon Quest Monsters. Or Dragon Warrior Monsters, it was called. The Withered World. Is that Rimuru Tempest? Yes, that is Rimuru Tempest. Yo, is that Bulma? Okay, no trailer. Just a tease. I mean, I'm excited for it. Coming soon. What does soon mean? Soon doesn't make it sound like it's, like, too far away. Okay, so that's it for that. I mean, that was okay. Obviously, it could have been better, but, like, that was still fine, right? So moving on from that, there was this. I did want to take a quick look at this. This is the Digimon Up news. This is, like, the new Digimon mobile game that's coming out. And I did want to just see what they were saying about this. To start by choosing your favorite Digi-Egg, when your first partner Digimon reaches its Mega Evolution, a new partner Digimon can be trained. Okay, so you have to get it all the way to Mega before you can level up a new one. Total of 15 partner Digimon. Alright, guys. Which one of these would you guys pick? I'm genuinely curious. If you don't know their names because you're not a Digimon person, just give me like a row and then like a column. So, you know, if you wanted to say this blue guy, that would be like, you know, row 2, column 4. But this is Vmon. Everyone loves Vmon. 2027. Yeah, Blue Dragon teaser. Gatomon. Now, Gate, have you chosen Gatomon for less than pure reasons? I'm curious. V? I assume you want Veedramon then. Because Vmon's cool. I like Vmon. I like Vmon. Vmon's not like my favorite. Terriermon, Renamon. Now, there are people choosing some Digimon that I think is maybe a bit sus. But they might just like those Digimon. So, you know, no, bro, I just love cats. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. For me, I actually think I want Guilmon. The little red guy in the bottom here. He's probably my favorite out of all of these. But there's a lot here I like. Like, I think I would have an easier time picking Digimon I didn't like here than picking Digimon I did like. Because they're all really solid designs. Caterpillar one or the very last one? So this is Wormmon. Wormmon is cool. Wormmon as well digivolves into Stingmon, who looks awesome. Let me just get a Stingmon out quick. He turns into this guy. Look, how badass is this guy? Look at him. Oh, what a nice big image. There we go. Look at Stingmon. Look at how sick he looks, man. This is one of the coolest Digimon, in my opinion. Or the last one. The last one, Terriermon, is a bit of a weird one. Because Terriermon turns into... What's it even called? The Gatling. Is it Gatlingmon or something? Next one's Gargamon. That's it. He turns into this. Which is like, I don't know, man. He wears jeans and he has Gatling guns on his hands. I'm not sure I vibe with this design personally. Wormmon and Terriermon. No Kotamon, sad. I mean, maybe there will be an update later. Reminds me of Scizor. Yes, exactly. Has like Scizor vibes. But yeah, for me personally, I'm going to go with the old Guilmon. Guilmon is my favorite here. Dragon Quest 11, after looking at the trailer in details, looks like the old leaks were true. It plays the world in Dragon Quest 9 and Dragon Quest 10, which will see Angel Falls and Stornway. The first two cities in Dragon Quest 9 also about Dream Worlds, and people speculate that the Dragon / Lizard person in the MC, in the Dream World side, that they have the same gear and posture. I mean, it could be. That'd be cool. I'd go for Terriermon, otherwise, because my friend likes him. Yeah, I like Terriermon. I think it's a bit of a shame some of these other ones get overlooked. Like, I think Armadillomon's actually really cool. Tentamon is also really cool. I think these two are though going to be two of like the least picked ones. Is the Eagle one cool? Last row. So this is Hawkmon. Hawkmon is okay, but Hawkmon's evolutions are a bit awkward. So Armor digivolves into... That's its normal digivolution. Which one does the Armor digivolve in? This one, right? Turns into, like, this guy. This is its Armor Digivolution. This is what I usually, like, associate it with. So this one's pretty cool. Then it turns into Aquilamon. And then, I guess Sylphimon? I don't really like Sylphimon. I think this one looks kind of lame. But that's a DNA Digivolution, so maybe we don't count it. I don't know what its, like, natural evolution is. Is it Garuda? It's not Garudamon. Garudamon's, Biomons. Hippogriffmon, maybe? Does it even have a natural ultimate level? I don't even know if it does. Mega Gargamon! Vmon might be my pick mostly because a Digimon V-Pair, or rather Digivice, will introduce Jogress Evolution. Man Hawkmon always felt like he should normally evolve into Garudamon. Yeah, it kind of does, right? Griffin, kinda. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty cool, either way. Right. Let's look at the other stuff that's there. Your partner Digimon will be assisted in battle by support Digimon. Choose one partner Digimon to 5 support Digimon to create your party. So you'll get non-partner Digimon. So none of these are the partners or their evolved forms. These are all completely different Digimon. And we've got what? Like, this can be a champion, I think. This is a champion. No, this is an ultimate. This is an ultimate. This is a champion. I have no idea what this is. I don't like this, personally. I don't like the idea that you have, like, a team of 5 that's, like, supporting your main, personally, but kind of whatever. Skill cards. In addition, skill cards modeled after the Digimon card game can be used to activate various effects during battle. In typical gameplay, skills are activated automatically. So we have Underwater Attack, Bandage of Love, a Blazing Storm of Metal, and Ice Wall. Okay. Digivice. You will get your own Digivice, customize it using the different parts. So I assume the interior parts, at the very least, are going to affect something, because otherwise, why else would you have them, right? The external parts could just be cosmetic, but I assume the interior parts have to be mechanical, right? You can recreate the original Digivice D3 or even the D-Arc using the customization elements. I mean, for me, if I'm being honest, my favorite Digivices out of these are the original two. I think Adventure and Adventure 2 have just the best Digivices. I don't really like the Tamer's Digivice. I think it's a little bit eh. And I don't really like these ones either, if I'm being completely honest. Tamer gear. Change your Tamer's appearance with the options available. You can also give them unique gear, including clothing and shoes. Thank God they have the glasses. We're good to go. I mean, customizing that is fine, I guess. And then you just pre-register now. And we can see the pre-registration stuff. Yeah. I mean, this all looks fine. I shouldn't really know how the game's going to play, is the big thing. But I like the Frontiers Digivice. I don't really like Frontiers, so I don't really like that Digivice either, if I'm being honest. Alright, the other thing I did want to talk about is we did have the Crunchyroll Anime Awards given out. Now, we did go through all of these when we were in the voting stages. So I want to quickly go through and just take a look at these. I don't think we really care about the voices. Best ending sequence. So, what did I vote for? I don't think I voted for any of these, to be honest. I don't think we watched a lot of the endings. So maybe that doesn't matter. Best opening sequence. We definitely would have voted for one of these. What did I vote for here? I think I remember all of these being really good. I think we did go for On the Way. No, I don't think I did. I think maybe I went for this one, actually. What's it called? Solo Leveling. Because Solo Leveling did have really good openings. I don't think I went for the Dandadan one, because I preferred the Season 1 one. I like the Data Squad one. But do you like Data Squad one because you watch Data Squad? You just like Data Squad, is the question. So what is this? Best score. This did not deserve best score. I'm sorry. Best score, easily, Chainsaw Man. Easily goes to Chainsaw Man. I like Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer's cool. It just Chainsaw Man had a better score. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. Best anime song, Iris Out. It's good. I personally would have given it to Jane Doe. I think Jane Doe was a stronger song, personally. But this is fine. Lets you store your partner in it, and the device itself can evolve. I'm not sure I like that, though. I guess it doesn't really matter. The Digivice will be tinkered with. You will be able to give pixels some vibes, and then the game will mostly be auto battles one partner, and you'll be able to pull supports. I don't know if I like the idea of it's just auto battles. I'll give it a go either way, but that's making me feel a little bit icky about it. Must protect at all costs. I mean, it's always going to be Anya, but I think it should have been Mau Mau. Best supporting character. Right. I am not a My Hero Academy glazer. I think Katsuki Bakugo was the best supporting character out of all of these shows. He was just so unbelievably good. For me, it was Bakugo, then Lolan, then Jin. Probably would have been my third. Best main character, Mau Mau. This was such a free category for Mau Mau. Mau Mau clears every other character here when it comes to best main character. Easy peasy. Best slice of life. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine for this. I probably would have gone City, but Spy X Family is also really good. Best drama, easily Apothecary Diaries. Easily. Although I could have said, realistically, Orb or The Summer Hikaru Died also could have won this. Easy peasy. But I think, for me, Apothecary Diaries is so good. Like, I love this show. Best Isekai, yeah, ReZero. Easily ReZero. None of these come close, but I do really like From Bureaucrat to Villainess. I thought this was actually really, really good. But ReZero is on a completely other level. ReZero is so good. Unbelievably good. So then we have Best Action. Yeah, I mean, it's probably just solo leveling. Solo leveling was really good action. Like, really good. Hero Academy was good, but like, it's probably just solo leveling. Let's be honest, it's so good. Best comedy? No, it should have been City. I like Dandadan. Dandadan's really good. It's probably my... like, if you're just talking which of these shows do I like the most, it's Dandadan. But I think City is a better comedy. Best romance? I don't really watch romance shows, so I can't really comment on that. Best background art? Yeah, I think... again, I would give it to City, personally. But I think Gachi Kakata was, like, fine. Best director, Apothecary Diaries. Easy. Easy. Apothecary Diaries was so good. So good. Best character design. Yeah. It was either going to be this or Dandadan. I don't think any of these other shows really match it. One Piece is like in its own league. Like, One Piece feels like it shouldn't even be in this category because its character designs are so radically different from everything else. Best animation. It could have been any of these, to be honest. All of these have reasons why they could have won it. I guess I'm fine with solo leveling getting it. Best original anime. I mean, I would give this to Beat Break, but yeah, sure, why not? Best new series. I would have given this to Clevitas, but I get it. Give it to Getchieta. One Piece characters' designs are amazing, and there's Nami's clones. Yeah, unfortunately, Oda is not very good at designing women. He kind of designs one woman and then copy-pastes it. Best continuing series, One Piece, yes. One Piece was always going to win this. Let's be honest. If One Piece didn't, it would have been Dandadan. But One Piece was all... This is the One Piece award. No one's ever beating One Piece when it comes to best continuing. For the next 50 to 100 years, One Piece will continue to win this award. Only in the anime, the look is different in the anime. Manga? I mean, for the most part, from what I've seen, they all look extremely similar. Film of the year. I'm sorry, Demon Slayer does not deserve Film of the Year. Film of the Year, easy, Chainsaw Man. Easy Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man, oh, it's so good. This movie was so unbelievably good. Demon Slayer movie was good. It's not Chainsaw Man good. And I actually think 100 Meters is also better than the Demon Slayer movie. I think, for me, this is just... Demon Slayer has a lot of fans that just, like, spam voted it. I don't think that deserves that. Anime of the Year, Hero Academy. I didn't think I was going to vote Hero Academy to be my Anime of the Year, but I did. After looking at all of these, and after considering all of them, even though I prefer Apothecary Diaries and Dandadan as like individual shows, this season of Hero Academy went so hard that I just think it deserved it. And I thought it was weird because, again, I'm not a big Hero Academy glazer, but I think it just deserved it. On its way out, I was like, yep, it's the best of these shows. It just was. The last new woman that appeared in the manga isn't just Nami in uniform and 2 different eye colors. There are dozens of different women all looking super different, but yes, the anime has many characters just looking like Nami with different hair color. I don't think I've seen a lot of them. I mean, to be fair, there are some, but like, it's either Nami or it's like a really weirdly body-shaped person. But I suppose you can make the argument that Nami has that as well. So there was one other little thing I did want to talk about. So if I jump over here quick. This. What do we think about... What do we think about this? So, for Rush Worlds, North America gets 1 player. 1 North American player in all of North America, which I believe is also going to encompass like Canada. You get to send 1 player to Worlds. I think that is really weird. Then, Latin America / Caribbean. There is so much landmass down there. There are so many people across all of the Latin American countries. That, again, sending just 1 feels really weird. And then there's Europe, which is also, I don't know if you guys know this, Europe is huge, made up of so many countries. 1 player. Why can Japan have 3 players? Exactly. So Japan gets 2, as well as the world champion is from Japan, so they get a bonus. I don't like that. So I get it, right? Whenever they decide who's getting what, they always give an extra 1 to the hosting country. And the world champion gets to come back. So because of that, Japan has ended up with regular 1. We're hosting, so we get another 1. And our world champion is Japanese, so we get 3 slots. I understand the logic. I don't like it. I think you should have taken away their normal 1. Because Japan is like, it makes sense that Japan gets it, but it also feels kind of scummy. I don't know. Japan, the tiniest, gets 2. Well, they get 3, effectively, because the world champion's also from Japan. They got both the Oceania Rush Duelist Worlds. So, I think, for me personally, the Asia, Oceania, Middle East, Africa region is a really, really competitive region. There are so many good players from that region, and only getting to send 1, which is what they've had up to this point, has felt really, really bad. That being said, I don't like that they get 2, but all of these other regions only get 1. If it was up to me, now I might be biased because I'm from Europe, I would have given 1 of the Japanese slots to Europe. But I still don't think that's fair to North America and South America, because I think those should also get 1. If it was my ideal, every single one of these regions would have 2. Ironically, I would maybe take 1 away from Japan and put them down to 1 by default. Because, again, their country is just a lot smaller than everyone else. Europe only on 1 is crazy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think it's so weird. Like, if we look at speed, Japan gets 2, North America gets 2, and then the world champion... Where is the world champion from in speed? I forget who won last year. Oh, it was North America, right? It was Sniffus. So, they're getting 2 plus the world champion, I guess. So they'll get 3. Japan only has 2 for this one. But then Europe only gets 1 by default. Now again, you get like all the other players, right? It's not just this. Because you get like the first place of all of these previous cups. You get the top player, the regional qualifiers, and then the world champion. So you get all of these different players. Like, it's a bit different for speed. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it feels weird, and it makes it super less hype if you're in any of the regions that only gets 1. Like, North America only getting 1 means a lot of people now just won't bother trying. Because now the chances they get through, it was like, oh, I can maybe make top 2. Now it's like, I'm not making top 1. And I think that's true for all of the regions that only get 1. It kind of sucks. They only get 3 from each, it would be 16, right? Yes. 3 from each plus world champion would be 16. 2024 champion? Well, it should be 2025 champion, but you know what I mean. Or what it should be. I don't know why that says 2024 first place. No, that's fine. Those are fine. Yeah, that should be 2025. The rest of this is fine, though. I think. But, I suppose the last thing I want to talk about before I disappear, because we're going to be ending, is I picked up a new game. I've played a couple hours of this already. This is Mina the Hollower. And I think this is a really cool game. So, I'm going to be playing more of this going forward. This is my current, like, Tomato game, where Tomato will play to vibe and have fun. But this is like a super retro aesthetic. It looks kind of like The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. But this game is really hard. I've been playing this. I am not the kind of person to shy away from difficulty in games. I like all of the Souls games. I like games that are like known for being hard. I like the challenge of beating something that's like above my weight class, right? And I'm the kind of person I will just grind a game until I'm good enough to beat it. I would say, in my opinion, at the very least, the start of this game is harder than any Souls game I've played. Like, it is so punishing and so difficult at the very start. But I will say, when I completed like the second area, it felt easier than the first. So I think it's one of those games that the more you play it and the more you upgrade your character, the easier the game's going to get. But I think because you have very few tools at the start of the game, it ends up feeling very, very difficult. Castlevania plus Link's Awakening? Exactly. I mean, it's nice. I played a demo. Tomato, stop giving ads. I apologize for not being a sub. No! I'm currently all in on Adventures of Elliot in less than a month. Got the deluxe edition after the second demo test. But yeah, I think if you like I say, if you like really difficult games, I would recommend this. I think this is really, really fun. But again, I've only just really scratched the surface. I have to like delve deeper in. But with that all said and done, that's kind of us done, to be honest. I'll tell you what, we'll send a raid out. We're going to go ahead and raid Soda Fizz. But I am planning to be back tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I will be back on Tuesday. That is the current plan. We're going to be back on Tuesday. We're going to have a great time. And we're going to be playing some more Rush Duels. It's all Rush from here, baby. It's all Rush. But thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye!
No! No! There is no way we just did that. Sahit!